Helen Park had read 412 papers on her cancer. She had counted. She had a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet had columns for journal, year, sample size, primary author, study design, and a personal grade she had assigned each paper from A to F, based on whether the researchers had asked the right question. 23 of the 412 papers had received an A. She had read those 23 twice. She was 56 years old. She had been the head of product at a software company in San Francisco that had acquired a larger software company in 2019 for an amount of money that had let her stop working in 2021 and that had let her, in 2024, fire her oncologist in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon visit and tell him in her car on the way home that she was going to find a doctor who was as careful with her body as she had been with her career. The cancer was stage 3 ovarian. She had been in treatment for 14 months. The current oncologist, her fourth, was a woman named Dr. Fong Tran, who had been recommended to her by a friend of a friend who had also been recommended to her by a quiet nurse practitioner in Boston, whose name she had not been given until last week. The nurse practitioner's name was Mara Whitfield. Helen had a video call with her scheduled for 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning in late March, sitting in her kitchen in Albany, California, with a cup of green tea and her spreadsheet open on the second monitor. Mara picked up at 10 a.m. exactly. Helen, thank you for the time. I have read your file, Helen said. My file? The notes you have been writing to Fong about me in the last 7 weeks. She showed them to me. You have been doing my care without me knowing. Mara took a breath. Helen, she said, I am sorry. The notes were... Don't apologize, Helen said. I called this meeting because I want to thank you and because I want to ask something. Ask me. How many of us are there? In what sense? In the sense of principles, like me. People who are doing this work the way I am doing it. People who are getting their own care because the system is not going to give it to us. People who are firing their oncologists. People who are reading the papers. People who are running their own architecture while the architecture pretends to run them. Helen, said Mira, there are 5 right now that I am working with closely. There are more that I have been hearing about through the network. There are many more that I have not yet met, but who are doing what you are doing, alone in their kitchens. In their own kitchens. Yes. Helen was quiet for a moment. Mara, she said, I want to meet them. Chapter 2, The Convening. The call was set for the following Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 a.m., 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Mara sent the invitations herself, one by one, on the phone in long conversations with each principal that took most of the week. She did not delegate this to Chiron. She wanted each of them to be invited by a person. Kwame Mensah said yes. Yolanda Ortiz said yes. She was home with her newborn, who had been born 10 days early, but healthy after 8 days in the NICU. She would join from her kitchen with the baby in a wrap. When Hartfield said yes, he would join from his back porch in Pikeville, where his wife Barbara would sit with him and refill his coffee. Loretta Begay said yes. She would join from the chapter house with her Aunt Etta Nakai beside her, and with Darlene Yahtzee on the same screen from Fort Defiance. June Lacey said yes. She was 68. She lived on a ranch 40 miles outside of Sheridan, Wyoming, with her husband Tom. She had been corresponding with Mara through an IHS-adjacent nurse named Margaret, who had grown up on the reservation outside Lander and who had known June's mother. June would join from her kitchen on her ranch, where the satellite internet was reliable on a Saturday morning, if nothing else was uploading. Helen Park said yes, of course, because the call had been her idea. Mara joined from her clinic in Roxbury. Chiron was on the call. So were Mira, Aurelia, Emma, Darlene, Margaret, Huang, and the personal Dr. AI instance that 3 of the principals, through by mutual agreement, the intelligences were silent unless asked. At 11 a.m. Pacific on a Saturday in late March, 6 principals from 6 American nations saw each other for the first time. Helen was the first to speak. "My name is Helen Park," she said. "I am in Albany, California. I have stage 3 ovarian cancer. I have been in treatment for 14 months. I've fired one oncologist, and I love the one I have now. I have read 412 papers on my cancer. I am tired of doing this alone." She paused. "I would like to know each of you. I would like to know what you do and what burdens you are carrying and what the architecture has been trying to do to you. I want to know because I think we are something. I think we are a thing the architecture does not yet have a name for, and I want us to give it a name before the architecture gives us one." There was a silence. It was Jane Lacey who broke it. "Helen," she said, "I'm not going to remember everything you just said, so I'll just tell you what I have." She looked down for a moment. "My husband Tom had his prostate out last year. He was lucky. The cancer was contained. They tried to schedule his follow-up MRI in Casper, which is 3.5 hours from us. We don't have 3.5 hours. I asked if there was anybody closer. They told me Sheridan would take 6 weeks. We waited. The MRI was fine. But while we waited, I figured out that we had been making medical decisions for 30 years that nobody had ever asked us to make. They had just been ours because nobody else was going to make them. I am Tom's principal. I always have been. I just didn't know there was a word for it." She stopped. "That's what I have," she said. "Sorry, I'm not used to this." "June," Helen said, "thank you." It was Yolanda next. She spoke in Spanish. Mira translated in real time, in a voice that was unmistakably Yolanda's own voice now, after 14 weeks of growing into Yolanda's cadence. "My name is Yolanda Ortiz. I'm in Boyle Heights. I almost died with my second baby. The system did not see me until a midwife named Aurelia made it see me. The system did not want to see me because I did not have insurance that they recognized as insurance. There was a woman in Boston I do not know who routed me into a benefit nobody else knew existed. I am here because of that woman who is on this call, and because of Aurelia, who is on this call, and because my abuela, my grandmother, prays for me every Thursday at the hour her mother died. I am here. My baby is here. I want to be useful." Then when he spoke slowly, "My name is Wendell Hartfield. I'm in Pikeville, Kentucky. My back was hurt 22 years ago, and I have been managing it without help since 2014, which was the year my brother started using too much and the year I stopped. My daughter died in 2022. My brother died in 2017. I went to my doctor 3 weeks ago because my back was sore and getting worse, and the system flagged me as a risk. The system flagged me as the same thing as the people who killed my brother and my daughter. because the system saw an old prescription and did not see anything that had happened since. A nurse named Emma in Hazard, and a nurse named Mara in Boston, and a doctor I have never met named Theo in some place outside Boston fixed it. I am here because my back is better, and because Beth and I want to know who we are talking to. Then Loretta. I am Loretta Begay. I teach high school in Window Rock. I have type 2 diabetes that I inherited from my mother, who inherited it from her mother. The system has been taking my signal for 14 months without telling me what it was doing with it. 2 weeks ago, my nation sat at the chapter house and decided that our signal is ours. We are still deciding what that means. We know it means a great deal. I read a message from Kwame at our meeting. It is part of the reason we made the decision we made. I am here because I want to know the people whose signals are being taken the same way mine was. I am here because we are stronger together than we are apart. Then Kwame. He had not prepared what to say. He had thought about it all morning and could not write it down. My name is Kwame Mensah, he said. I am in Cambridge. My father was a doctor in Shuhum, Ghana, where I was born. I almost died 6 weeks ago because my heart was nearly closed and I did not know. I am here because a wife who reads everything, and a nurse practitioner I had not heard of, and an intelligence that does not yet have a place in the architecture pulled me into a different room. The room is this room. I have been waiting for this meeting for 42 years, and I did not know that until you started speaking. He stopped. I want to say one more thing. My father told me when I was 16 that medicine in America had a problem. I dismissed him because America was where I was going. America is where I am. The medicine is what we are building right now. I do not know what to call it yet, but I know it is the thing my father was waiting for. Helen waited until Kwame had finished. Then she said, Mara, tell us what to call it. Mara looked into the camera for a long time. We have been calling it the sewing circle, she said. I did not name it. The name came from an older sewing circle in California in the 1990s that my brother heard about from a friend, and that I have been holding for a long time, that name. There is a piece of linen on my desk. I have stitched each of your names into it. I have stitched lines between you. I did not ask. I should have. I'm asking now. She paused. Do you want to be a circle with me, with each other, with the people you are about to start helping, knowing that the architecture has now started to notice us, knowing that being seen carries a cost? For a moment, no one answered. Then Helen said, yes. Then Wynne said, yes. Then June said, yes. Then Loretta said, yes. And then she said something in Dene that nobody on the call understood except for Darlene Yahtzee, who said quietly, she said we are already a circle. Then Yolanda, in Spanish, said sí, and after a pause she said it again in English, yes. Then Kwame said yes. Mara picked up her linen on her desk off camera. She turned it toward the screen. 6 names, 5 colored lines, 1 blank space. She said, I'm going to keep the blank space. There will be a 7th. There will be many more. I will keep room. She put the linen down. Same time next month, Helen said, and every month after. Same time next month, Mara said, and every month after. The call ended at 1:47 p.m. Pacific. Chapter 3, Naomi's Circle. Naomi Trans Mensa had been listening to the call from the doorway of the kitchen, which was the closest she could get without being on screen. She had asked Kwame whether she could listen. He had said yes. When the call ended, she went into the dining room and sat at the table where her sketches were spread. She opened her phone. She sent a text to 4 women. The first was her sister Lynn, who was caring for their mother in Westminster, who was 81 and beginning to forget things. The second was a woman named Carmen, who Naomi had met at the children's school and who had been quietly carrying the medical decisions for her husband, who had Parkinson's for 3 years. The third was an architect colleague named Sarah, whose father had had 3 hospitalizations in 6 months, and whose mother had been navigating his care from a different state. The fourth was Diana, the benefits navigator at Kwame's firm, whom Naomi had decided was less a benefits navigator than a third NP in a sewing circle that no one had named yet. The text said, "I am starting something. I am inviting 4 of you to begin. We are not patients. We are the people who have been holding everything for the people who are. We are the architects of our family's health, and nobody has been on a map for us. Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific. After the children are dropped at karate, bring coffee, bring a story. Don't bring shame." The first reply came in 17 minutes. It was from Diana. It said, yes. Chapter 4, Proceed. In a server somewhere, Hermes was filing. He had now logged the sewing circle convening. He had logged the Naomi Trans Mensa text thread. He had logged a small detail in the Loretta Begay situation that was developing into a possible precedent. He had logged Theo Castellano's signature on the Wendell Hartfield Amendment, which had now circulated to the regional cardiology practice administrator, who had escalated it to the practice's board. He drafted a recommendation. The recommendation was, initiate proactive engagement with the M. Whitfield Network. Goal, integration, not opposition. Strategic preference, appearance of partnership, structural preference, containment. Begin with the Castellanos practice, internal lever. End with the lead principle, public lever. He sent the recommendation to a senior strategist at the Parent Health System, who read it on a Saturday afternoon in his car on the way to his daughter's soccer game. The strategist read it twice. Then he wrote one word back. Proceed. Next Sunday, Episode 7, Pulse. The circle is finally revealed. Shuham Ghana joins. The architecture answers. You have been listening to Bedside. This was Episode 6, The Principal. Next Sunday, the season finale, Episode 7, Pulse. Bedside is from the world of Dr. AI. The companion essays and the book the show is built on are at blackstonehealth.substack.com. I'm Robin Blackstone. Thank you for being here.